At this point, the return of Michael Bay to the director's chair might be the only way to save the Transformers franchise. Transformers 1 was recently released in theaters, revealing the origins of Optimus Prime and Megatron when they were brothers known as Orion Pax and D16. However, the new animated prequel has joined the collection of post-Bay Transformers projects that have not seen much success at the box office. Having directed and produced the first Transformers live-action movie in 2007, Bay would go on to direct 4 more sequels, with his final movie being Transformers: The Last Knight in 2017. Since then, the Transformers franchise has released 2018's Bumblebee, directed by Travis Knight, 2023's Transformers: Rise of the Beasts from director Stephen Caple, and most recently the animated Transformers 1 by Josh Cooley. Each of these movies has seen lower box office numbers compared to the Bay films of the past, leading to the argument that perhaps the original director should come back for the sake of the Transformers franchise as a whole. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Transformers movies have struggled at the box office without Michael Bay. Numbers have been lower since he left. It's worth mentioning that Bay's final Transformers movie, The Last Knight, did begin the decline at the box office that's been consistent since his departure. However, Bay is also responsible for the highest-grossing Transformers films of all time: the Transformers movies. Worldwide box office: Transformers, $709 million. Revenge of the Fallen, $836 million. Dark of the Moon, $1.124 billion. Age of Extinction, $1.104 billion. The Last Knight, $605 million. Bumblebee, $468 million. Rise of the Beasts, $439 million. Transformers 1, $97.5 million. Final number TBD. Ultimately, the box office decline did begin under Bay with The Last Knight, seeing as how it didn't break $1 billion like his previous 2 movies. However, the numbers also see another significant drop between the 5th Transformers and 2018's Bumblebee. Both the solo movie starring the iconic Yellow Bug and the subsequent Rise of the Beasts were unable to break $500 million, and neither had Bay behind the director's chair. Likewise, Transformers 1 has also had a very lukewarm performance at the box office and will most likely end its theatrical run right around the 100 million mark. Transformers hasn't reignited audience interest despite critical acclaim after Bay's exit. Engagement with the franchise is pretty low. On the one hand, the argument can be made that audiences had grown tired of Bay's films by the time of The Last Knight. However, it's also worth pointing out that audiences haven't exactly returned or re-engaged with the franchise in his absence. What was once a franchise capable of billion-dollar blockbusters has become fairly diminished in recent years. This is in spite of the fact that both Bumblebee and Transformers 1 were received quite well critically, though it's been argued Rise of the Beasts took itself too seriously despite being as action-packed as the previous live-action films. The typical quality and expected epic action sequences are there. However, the audience and subsequent box office returns have not been the same since. Transformers bringing Michael Bay back makes sense, but it would be divisive. Reactions would certainly be mixed. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. At this point, the idea of Michael Bay eventually returning to the franchise does make a certain amount of sense. It would be not unlike the Russo brothers and their recent announcement at 2024's San Diego Comic-Con that they will be returning to the MCU to direct both Avengers, Doomsday, and Avengers: Secret Wars, alongside Robert Downey Jr. in the role of Dr. Doom. That being said, Bay making a similar return to the Transformers franchise would undoubtedly come with some mixed and divisive reactions. Those wanting to see a return to Michael Bay's style and action-heavy plots would, of course, be thrilled. However, those who might have grown tired of Bay's Transformers movies and have been enjoying the newer projects wouldn't be nearly as excited. That said, Michael Bay's return to Transformers would be the exact kind of thing that would help reinvigorate the franchise. Perhaps some years away might give him a renewed perspective on the franchise, which could be very exciting to see. It's also worth considering that the next Transformers movie in development would be right up his alley. Will Michael Bay actually return to direct another Transformers movie? The Transformers/G.I. Joe crossover doesn't have a director. Despite not being a director on the last 3 Transformers projects, Michael Bay has served as a producer. This means that he's always had some level of involvement, even if he hasn't been the one sitting in the chair. To that end, one could imagine that it wouldn't be hard for Bay to become a director of a future Transformers film if he were so inclined. Bay has said in the past that he wouldn't be opposed to returning in such a capacity, so long as the right story comes along. Keeping that in mind, there couldn't be a better story for Bay than the upcoming Transformers/G.I. Joe crossover, the 8th live-action Transformers movie in the franchise. Given his love for the military with movies such as Pearl Harbor and 13 Hours, bringing the Joes side by side with the Autobots on the big screen sounds like the perfect job for Michael Bay. It's also worth noting that the movie currently does have a director. As such, the opportunity to come back for such a major crossover event film could be the perfect means of getting Michael Bay back to Transformers and getting the franchise back on track. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.